Hi, everyone. We'll get started in just a few moments as everyone comes in. We'll give it a few more moments and then we'll get started. Great. So hi, everyone. My name is Jessie Schwartzman, and I am the engagement coordinator for JumpSpark ATL. In addition to working for JumpSpark, I'm proud to say that I was born and raised in Miami and currently in Miami with my parents for the time being. So I'm excited to moderate tonight's session. JumpSpark drives innovative team programming out of the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta and is one of the 10 communities that comprise the Jewish Teen Education and Engagement Funder Collaborative. We want to start by thanking our friends at Chicago Springboard, Chicago's Jewish Teen Initiative, for inspiring us to create our first ever national road trip featuring 32 universities for all college-bound teens and their parents. We could also not have done this without our partners at Forefront Baltimore and the Teen Funder Collaborative. Our Jump on the Bus virtual college road trip includes student-led tours, professional information sessions, and ways to virtually connect with the colleges you are interested in. New college tours and information sessions are held daily throughout the month of June, so make sure to follow our social media at JumpSpark ATL and our website, roadtriptocollege.org, to sign up for more sessions and to create your own personal road trip. With that being said, let's get started. I'm very excited to introduce our panelists today, and while they're presenting, feel free to ask questions. We will answer them after they all present. Representing UM today is Charles Kamak, the Associate Director of Admissions, Igor Huklov, the Executive Director of Hillel, Ethan Hart, and Ronan Pink, two current students at the university. Again, welcome everyone, and I will hand it over to Charles.
Good afternoon, everyone. So glad to be with you. Jessie, thank you so much for that warm introduction, and JumpSpark for having us and having this opportunity with you a little bit about the University of Miami. I am going to share, let me get my PowerPoint up here, a little bit about UM from an academic standpoint, as well as the application aspect. And I'm going to kind of leave it to Ronan and Ethan. They'll kind of fill in the blanks in terms of their student experience and kind of the things they've been able to take advantage of even outside of the classroom. So that's just why this will be more abbreviated in what I talk about. For those of you who are new, who do not know anything about the University of Miami, the first thing that you need to know that many people mistake is that we are a private institution. We're a private institution of about 11,000 students, so medium size. We actually have 9 undergraduate schools and colleges that you see listed here, including a medical school and a law school. But you also should understand where these students are coming from. So even though we're located in Florida, in South Florida specifically, about 40% of our students come from outside of the state. Actually more than that, close to 50% at this point outside of the state of Florida. So you are seeing students from around the world, all 50 states except Wyoming right now, over 120 different countries. So you're going to meet people, a variety of different backgrounds and understandings in terms of the world, culture, and so forth. Within those schools and colleges, though, one of the things that I think is the most unique is the way that we're able to make the schools still feel small. So we have the resources of a larger research institution, which we are a research institution, but really the familial feel, and I think you'll feel that as Igor talks about some of the programming and things that they do in the Hillel to make it feel smaller, which I think is the most impactful part of the institution. But another way that we make the school feel smaller is through something called our cognate system. So this allows students to really take advantage of scholastic opportunities outside of their major, but also to dive right in when they first come to campus. So if I were to do a poll, do a raise of hands, I know that you all are interested in a variety of different majors, programs, etc. But there are 3 areas of knowledge at the University of Miami that we try to hone in on: arts and humanities, people and society, and STEM. Your major will cover 1, and then you'll be required to take a cognate, or a grouping of 3 courses in the other 2 areas. Now, if you go to cognates.miami.edu, it is an incredible resource. You can actually search something right now. If you are obsessed with Will Smith, you can type that in, see if there are any classes that are related to Will Smith. I'm telling on myself, that's me. If you are looking to do anything on climate change, right, you can type that in. All the classes, cognates related to that will come up as well. So let's say, for example, I am a marine science major. I'm picking something that I would never have been in undergrad, just as an example. So I'm a marine science major. My major would cover the STEM cognate, so the big circle that you see there on the screen. And then let's say I have an interest in, I don't know, psychology. That would cover people and society. And then I would need to choose 1 more cognate, and we'll do communications, which is what I actually majored in when I was in undergrad. So you have communications for arts and humanities, you have psychology for people in society, and then you have marine science for my STEM. Now, the unique thing about this is your major, give or take, this is an average, it ranges, but let's say your major is between 45 to 50 credits, right? So you have 1 major here, and then you have a cognate, a grouping of 3 courses for my other 2. So it's about 18 to 21 credits there, right? So the combination between the 2, I'm really covering about 65 to 70 credits. So it'll take about 120 credits, though, to graduate. So this is how students are able to add another major, add another minor, do a variety of different combinations between the schools and colleges within your interests. This is the beauty thing. I call it the Red Robin system, if you will. You can make and craft it however you want, according to the things that you are interested in the most. The other beauty is you don't have to declare a major to the end of your sophomore year. So if there are those of you who are listening right now, we're like, Charles, I really don't know what I want to study yet. That's okay too. You can go undecided in any of the schools and colleges, or undecided in general, and you'll be placed in the College of Arts and Sciences. But again, really giving you the latitude to figure out what you want to study and what means the most to you. But if you know right away, you can dive right in, take classes. If you're in the business school, take classes right away. We are a direct admit school. I know that's a question that some of you are wondering about, which simply means that you are directly admitted into the school or college that you designate on the common application, which I'll touch on in just a moment, so that you can take classes again right away in the school or college that you designate in that application. To talk about kind of our location, so we are physically located in Coral Gables, which is a suburbs outside of downtown Miami. If you'll see here on the map, this is actually show you where our main campus is to the south. And then the downtown area around Brickell is a bit to the north. We're about 6 miles south, right off of the Metro rail. So you can take the Metro directly into the city. For much of my time living in Miami, I've used the Metro to get around town. It's pretty easy, simple, and affordable. It'll also take you directly to the airport. So the parents that are listening, it's only 2 lines. So those of you who might be from other areas of the country, it's not confusing at all. I grew up in Philly. There's literally only 2 lines. So the orange line will take you directly to Miami Airport. The green, you can transfer and it will take you to Fort Lauderdale Airport. So it's very simple to understand there. You'll see the different neighborhoods around the Miami area that you can take advantage of in a variety of different ways. I want to talk to you a little bit also about kind of the ROI, right? So ultimately you're going to school. It is an investment into yourself and your future. And it is important to us at the University of Miami that you feel like you are amply prepared, not only academically, but also in terms of the career advising that you will receive. So we have the Top of Career Center, which does everything from cover letter critiques They do resume critiques. They'll even help you if you need clothes for your interview. And then there are different career services specialists within the different schools and colleges as well. HireACane.com, I highly recommend checking out that resource. There are actually infographics on that website. One of my favorite parts about it are career outcomes, where you can actually see where students land geographically within the major that you're interested in, but also industry-wise as well. And so I know that there are many of us that are worried or even concerned with how the pandemic will impact employment going forward. And I can tell you that they have already put together resources in response to this. And so again, please check out their website and link with them if you were to come to campus as soon as your first year. You don't have to wait till your junior or senior year to take advantage of those resources. They also have an online database of internships, job opportunities as well, that you have access to for life. It doesn't just end during your time at UM. Quickly going to transition into our application process and how you're able to apply to UM. So this is based upon last year's class. The first thing that I want to state is that we deploy a holistic review at the University of Miami. Many of you heard about the breaking news that was just released last week of us going exclusively test optional for this coming year. One of the many responses that we are having to this pandemic and how it is impacting you all as students. So you'll see it says 38,000. We actually had over 40,000 applications last year, was our largest class to date. The admit rate, the average GPA, incoming class, those will all stay around the same. But you'll see the testing, which is now test optional, but those were the median scores for last year. For those of you who don't know, test optional, you can still submit your test scores if you feel that it would help you. Again, based upon those averages there, if you feel like you're towards the top 75 percentile, then it could definitely be beneficial to your application, but it is not at all required for next year. So those of you, again, who are applying for next year, we haven't made a determination beyond next year, so I can't say, and maybe any juniors who are on the call, but those of you who are going to be seniors this coming fall, for sure it will be test optional for you. So these are some of the items that we look at in our review system. So you'll see the Common Application. We're exclusively on the Common Application, which is a program that you can actually fill out online. There are a variety of different schools, tons of different schools that are on that application. So you can apply to us and many other peer institutions as well using that platform. Some things to note on there, your extracurricular activities. So the things that you're doing outside of the classroom, that is a huge part of our review process, as well as an essay. We also now have a supplemental essay that we'll be releasing within the next couple of weeks, which is in lieu of the test optional option that we are presenting. I mentioned the GPA average around a 3.8, but more than the GPA and the number is the context behind it. So there are students who will say, well, if I go to a school that offers APs, IBs, but I don't take any of them and I have a 4.0, and my classmate at the same school has a 3.6, 3.7, but they have taken those advanced level courses, how do we compare? Well, that student B, your classmate, is actually stronger in our eyes than the student A. I would say even more so now that testing is completely out of the question in terms of us going test optional. It is imperative that we see that you are challenging yourself with the rigor that is offered, again, at your high school, not the school down the street, but the school at your high school. One of the ways that we're able to have this context is from the school report from your college counselor. We require a recommendation from a college counselor. There's wiggle room if you do not have that opportunity. And at least a teacher, and I would say one additional is accepted, not necessarily required. 2 as a minimum is required. I mentioned the test optional. For music and for theater, there is still an audition component that is required in that process, and a portfolio for the School of Architecture program as well. If you are international students, I don't know if we have any on the call, but it is important to note that if you are graduating from a school within the United States, even if you are not a US citizen, you are considered a domestic student in terms of your requirements for applying to the university from the application standpoint. Lastly, before I hand it over, I'm going to touch on just some of the financial aid components. So you are, for us at the University of Miami, the CSS profile and the FAFSA are crucial. These are the 2 documents that will be utilized to determine your need. CSS profile, for those of you who don't know, is run by the College Board, and it determines your institutional need-based aid, so what will be provided by the University of Miami. And then the FAFSA is for federal need-based aid. There are additional documents that might be required depending upon your situation. We are exclusively on a system called iDoc, which will have all of the documents that you are required to submit uploaded to that portal, and then determining what additional things we need from that. Most importantly, though, you are automatically considered for scholarships when you apply. This is, I think, one of the best things about There is still no supplemental essays. You're welcome for that, for the scholarship consideration. But it does vary in terms of when you apply. So if you apply early decision 1 or early action, then you're considered for our premier scholarships or our full tuition scholarships. But if you apply for ED2, early decision 2, or regular decision, then you're considered for our general scholarships. So early decision for the University of Miami means that this is your number one choice. You know you want to be there. You've decided you are coming to So you are basically blindly committing to the University of Miami. You can only apply early decision to one institution. We don't take that lightly, so we do give you a little bump in the admission process. But with that being said, you are committing if you are admitted to attend So we have 2 options for that, ED1 and ED2, but ED2 is not considered for those full tuition scholarships. And then if you know that it's the place you want to be, but you're a little hesitant about committing that early, we have early action as well, which is non-binding, and you're still considered for those premier scholarships. The good news is this past year, for the first time, we were meeting 100% of need for our early decision applicants. That includes early decision 1 and early decision 2, to take away some of that sting of the commitment that you have to And then lastly, we have regular decision, non-binding as well, but only considered for those general scholarships that I mentioned. This is pretty much a rough overview, again, of the academic aspect of coupled with the ROI, how we are investing in you from a career standpoint, and then also the application process. Obviously, I'm going to stick around for questions later. But I will hand it off at this time.
Thank you, Charles, so much. I'm now going to hand it over to Igor to talk about Jewish life on campus in Hillel.
Hi, everyone. My name is Igor. I've been the executive director at the University of Miami Hillel for the past 5 years. So I think at this point, I am sort of an honorary Cain, although I have not attended the school. So let me tell you a little bit about us, about the work that we do on campus, about the leadership that we develop, and partnerships with the university. So first and foremost, I want to start with the information that's most relevant to the incoming first-year students and those that are considering joining the University of Miami. The University of Miami Hillel is one of the only organizations on campus that, in partnership with the Office of Residential Life, is offering an early move-in program. And the qualification to participate in this program is the participation in the Jewish pre-orientation, which is called Fresh Fest. And we've been doing this program for quite a while at this point. And obviously, with a caveat with COVID, if things are normal, or things that we sort of are used to be doing in the past, what would happen is you would apply for this program as part of your orientation program through the university. It's all integrated, so you don't have to sort of search separately. You will just choose an option that you're interested in the pre-orientation session with the University of Miami Hillel. And you basically enroll, and then for 24 hours, for those of you who are familiar with the summer camp kind of setting, it's the condensed summer camp. We make sure that we expose you to the Jewish community. You get to know what Hillel is. Everything is facilitated by the upperclassmen, so you get to know from the get-go some of the students that are enrolled in similar programs that you might be. And generally, we get about 100-ish students that choose to participate. What we've seen is that those students that do participate tend to actually forge relationships with their peers and it really helps them to get connected on a very sort of intimate level right away. And then by the time that we finish, they already sort of merge into the larger orientation, getting to know each other, and they're not as lost as some of their peers might be. Obviously, because it's done in partnership with both admissions and housing and orientation, we make sure that our schedule doesn't conflict with any other major events that are happening around the time. So all of it is fairly smooth. For parents that are on the call, we also have a reception for families so that you guys can ask any questions you want. You can meet our board chairs, board of directors, myself, my staff. And we also do a little bit of an overview of what Hillel on campus is. For many families that I meet, for prospective families, generally the questions that I hear have to do with just Hillel's presence, initial offerings that we do on campus. And I would say that from the physical standpoint, University of Miami Hillel is blessed to have one of the best facilities in the country. We live in a fully renovated building that serves as a lounge spot for students, as a classroom. We actually have some classes happening there in partnership with the School of Business. And Ronan can speak a little bit more later, or Ethan, about their experiences, but anything from just, killing time with your friends to 300 people gatherings, again, in the normal setting, that is absolutely within our realm. We've been doing it for a while and fairly successfully. We also have a vegetarian restaurant that serves food that is fully hechshered. We are probably one of the more popular spots on campus because the ambiance and the quality of food is really good. That is not to say that the dining hall is not good, but ours is intimate and very, very vibey, I would say. So it's something that we're very proud of. And you can use your dining dollars and meal plans there. So those of you who are observant Jews who keep kosher, that is an option, in addition to the one that is a meat one that is run by our friends from Chabad. So that's sort of the foundational infrastructural support. In terms of specific programmatic gatherings, and like Charles mentioned before, we truly believe in building relationships. So a lot of the work that we do is cohort-based, is one-on-one with our staff, whether it's a rabbi or our Israel engagement professional or just the engagement professional. So from coffee dates to gatherings, open mic nights, you name it, we probably have it. We're a fairly big organization. I would encourage you to check our website, miamihillel.org, to see the details. Anything from international travel, we've been heavily involved with volunteer work. So in the past 4 years, we hosted alternative spring breaks. One went to Havana, Cuba, one to Rio, Argentina, and this year we're supposed to go to Germany, to Berlin, explore Jewish community there. Unfortunately, it was canceled due to the pandemic. Obviously, Birthright is a big part of our work. A lot of students participate, and we're the largest provider in South Florida for that opportunity. Now, my last piece will have to do with professional opportunities through Hillel. One of the probably best kept secrets or things that are less known about us is that we are actually a fairly significant employer on campus. From reception to accounting, to some of the social media and design, there are paid and unpaid opportunities in engagement internships, Israel-related internships, Birthright internships. I mean, we probably go through about 50-ish internships throughout the year that students are participating in. On top of that, there are scholarships for learning that we offer. So if you're looking for some extra employment and extra opportunities, extra curricula, we're definitely also a spot for that. I think that's pretty much it. I will be happy to answer more questions once they come up.
Thank you so much, Igor. I'm now going to hand it over to Ethan and Ronan, who are going to share a few minutes of their experience as students at the University of Miami.
Hi, my name is Ethan Hartz. I'm from Atlanta, and I just finished my freshman year at the university. I also participated in Hillel Fresh Fest early in the year before we started, and I highly recommend it to anyone that may attend. I made a lot of my close friends actually just coincidentally through Fresh Fest, just because we went out to a Marlins game at night, and that group that I hung out with is a group that I play basketball with almost every day throughout the whole year. And that's the kind of thing that they were preaching would happen during Fresh Fest. They're like, I met my best friend, all the leaders. And it happened that way. And it was kind of funny to see that come together. So I highly recommend Hillel Fresh Fest. Beyond that, Hillel is a great place, as is. Shabbat dinners are super inviting to everyone. It's fairly common that people bring friends who may not even be Jewish just to experience Shabbat dinner, which I got to do early in the year. And that's a really pretty neat thing that Miami offers that I don't see elsewhere. As for the school, I had an incredible year. It was a shame to be cut off in March, and I really look forward to going back in August.
Hi, my name is Ronan Pink. I'm a rising senior. I'm pretty involved on campus, so I can talk about a lot of different things. One of the things is I'm the upcoming co-president of Hillel. I've been very involved in Hillel since my freshman year, starting with Fresh Fest. I kind of just knew going in that I wanted to be very involved in Hillel, and I wanted to meet people and just explore my Judaism, and that's kind of what I did. And Igor and I are good friends, and the Rabbi Lyle and I are good friends, and I've been doing a lot of different kind of odd jobs and different opportunities that Hillel has to offer throughout my 3 years, soon to be 4 years at the University of Miami. On top of that, I have been an RA for freshmen for the past 2 years, and I'll be an RA again next year in Stanford, so I can speak a little bit about that. And I am a captain of the Ultimate Frisbee team, which has also been super fun, and I've been doing that since I did that in high school, and then I've just kind of continued through college. And kind of going off of what Charles said and going off of what Ethan said, I love it at Miami. I really do. And one of my favorite things is because it is a small campus with a very big campus feel. And because of that kind of small campus, you have the opportunity to do so many things, and you have the opportunity to kind of excel in so many things if you just put your mind to it. I'm currently this summer, my job fell through, and I emailed a professor that I was close with, and now I'm writing a book with him. Like it's the weird little things that really make Miami special and make those like little interactions something very big. And because of the small class sizes and because of the kind of close, tight-knit community, you have that opportunity in literally every aspect of your college career.
And I can definitely second that about tight-knit relationships, because as a freshman, you wouldn't normally expect that you could have relationships with your professors. In lecture classes and in small classes, all of my teachers, both semesters, knew me by name and knew like sort of how I am as a student, and that's really unusual as a freshman at a school. So I think it was really cool that Miami could offer that among the wide range of students.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for presenting. We're now going to move on to Q&A, and I have a few questions for you all. Someone wants to know how many undergrad and graduate students make up the University of Miami?
Of course. So we have about 11,000 undergraduate students and about 5,000 graduate students.
Awesome. And Igor, what % of undergrad would you say identify as Jewish?
One of the most common questions that's very hard to answer. We don't know. We know that the data that we were grandfathered was referencing about 2,000 Jewish students on campus, undergrad. I can tell you specifically, we engaged last year just over 1,200 students. So anywhere between, I mean, I know that we haven't reached all of them. So there are more than 1,200 and probably not more than 2,000.
Awesome. Someone wants to know, is there Greek life at UM? And if so, what percentage would you say are involved?
Yes, there is Greek life. About a quarter, 25% of the student body is involved in Greek life. So it's definitely not the end all be all to your social experience. I know Ronan and Ethan could probably speak better even to that. But we have about 30 chapters. We have fraternity houses on campus. There are no sorority houses in terms of living arrangements. And then the other difference is that we do deferred rush. So students would not be able to pledge until the second semester of their first year.
One thing I can add about that is we offer Greek life beyond strictly social fraternities. I'm involved in AK Psi, which is a co-ed business fraternity. And that's something you can pledge either semester. I pledged first semester, freshman year. And that's sort of to build professional skills as well as social interactions with people in and out of the business school. And if you want to learn about professionalism and business beyond college.
Awesome. This next question is for Ronan and Ethan. They want to know, how do you balance your social and academic lives, and what does your weekend look like for you at UM?
I guess for me, Miami is a very work hard, play hard environment. You have incredibly smart people that go to Miami, and they enjoy relaxing when they have the opportunity to relax. For me personally, I relax and I enjoy my time by just kind of either going to the beach or hanging out on the IM fields, which is our large kind of basically a large field. People play frisbee and soccer and the spike ball and all of those different things. So for me, it's going to the beach, playing video games, board games, things like that. But really, there is every opportunity to do what you want at Miami, because if you drive 15 minutes, you're in downtown Miami, and there's a great party scene if that's what you're into. And there's also a lot of really fun things to do if that's not what you're into, like the beach or board games or video games or literally anything else. There's a wide spectrum. I personally don't enjoy going out so much, so I stay in and play board games and video games.
As for balancing things, I think it's really easy to stay motivated because everyone around you will be motivated. Something I do is I almost always work outside, aside from if it's pouring, I guess. I find it really easy to focus that way, and that gives time on the weekends. I love going to the beach. I love exploring Miami. I love just playing basketball with friends. IM fields are a hot spot for sports and just fun things going on. And so I think that as for workload, Miami makes it pretty, you can achieve a really good balance between social and academic life, which I like a lot.
Speaking of academic life, someone wants to know, what percentage of courses would you say are taught by graduate students?
Yeah, definitely less than 10%. The overwhelming majority of classes are taught by professors, but you'll find some for sure in typically the science and math departments, but the majority are definitely taught by our very capable professors.
Awesome.
Also, I just saw a question, sorry, in the chat
No,
that
ahead,
I can
Ethan.
speak on. It says, I know Miami is big for football. Does school spirit show up in any other ways, either other sports or outside of sports altogether? I can speak on that because I have a marketing internship in the athletics department. So I'm always at sports, lots of different sports. Football, we get there a few hours early. We leave at the end of the game. Pretty much it's sort of game promotions and such as for my internship, but the school spirit definitely shows all the time. There are people at every game. We have no men's soccer team, only a women's team, but at every game, it's a huge local thing. Like there's always local teams showing up, families to support the Miami girls, and they're awesome. And beyond that, people rep Miami around school all the time. The U is all over. I always laugh that it's on construction equipment as well, which I find awesome. And so there's definitely a really heavy presence of school spirit all the time, year round. And I think that's awesome. It's really.
Awesome. Igor or Ethan and Ronan, someone wants to know, what does Shabbat look like on campus? What opportunities are there for students?
I'll let students take the lead and I'll add if necessary.
So one of the great things about Hillel at Miami is the professionals really work with students and encourage students to create their own Shabbat and their own experiences. So me and my co-president wanted to change things up. So instead of, usually we had kind of services kind of down in rows, and we said, well, we want to make it more communal. Let's turn it into a circle. Let's have more singing involved. And that's kind of what we did. So really, if someone is interested in changing things up and making it different and making it kind of more special for them, they have that opportunity. Typically, an average Shabbat, as of last year, who knows what's going to happen now, but as of last year, it was Shabbat services for like an hour, 45 minutes, and then a wonderful catered dinner. And typically the way things go is people, it's usually like 20 people show up for services and then like 70 people show up for dinner. But it's an incredibly warm and inviting place, regardless of your religious affiliation.
Yeah, I will just add one thing in terms of that sort of like distinction between the services and the dinner. We actually at some point started marketing them separately because we realized that a lot of people want this Shabbat community, the Friday night community that we're able to build, but really are not interested in the services part of it. And we want to acknowledge that. That is absolutely cool with us. And for those who want the liturgy, it's provided. We have either the rabbi or students who lead it. And those that want to come in just a little bit later, exactly, Ronan, there is no sort of judgment or like, oh, where have you been? So we see that students respond well to it and we support it.
Awesome. Charles, someone would like to know about UM's pre-law program. Is there information you can give them or a good resource they should look up?
Yeah, so pre-law, as like many of the pre-professional tracks at UM, allows you to have the prerequisites, for those of you who don't know, for grad school, so in this case, law school, but then also to be able to major at UM in whatever you want to. So the cognate system that I mentioned a little bit earlier, you would still be able to take part in that and have a variety of different cognates and major, and additionally have the pre-law track. UM is actually one of the only institutions in the country that allows our students, a select group of our students, to take some law school courses, so they have an even more in-depth understanding of what they'll be getting themselves into if they do plan to pursue law school. And there is a close collaboration between pre-law advising, which is usually housed in the College of Arts and Sciences, and directly with our law school, so that students are getting kind of real-world understanding and maybe even internships, practicums, et cetera, to help them understand what a law degree will look like. And there's a good bridge program between, if you wanted to stay at UM. I personally know several students who ended up staying, graduating, and going on to law school at the University of Miami. So there's definitely a great relationship there as well.
Awesome. Charles, can you also speak about the new dorms that are being built? Will they be open? What does that look like in a COVID-19 world? Will freshmen live there? Yes.
So I don't know if I don't know what it looks like in terms of the semester and how that will be. The residential colleges, as we call them at UM, should be ready for the fall. Now it's more so of what that will look like in terms of spacing and making sure that we're following the proper protocols from the CDC and so forth. But the Lakeside Village that you're referring to, that is actually exclusively for sophomores. That's the first part of the plan. It will be exclusively for sophomores and some juniors, seniors, but it's primarily for sophomores. Centennial Village, which will replace what are now our towers in a few years, that will come a few years down the line. That would be for our first year students and replace our current first year experience. But there is still much up in the air, admittedly, in terms of what it will look like for the fall and kind of the spacing and those things. We're hopeful to have students back on campus. I haven't heard otherwise. But in terms of the living arrangements, that's how that's playing out right
Awesome, thank you. Someone would like to know, how many students would you say are in a small class and lecture style classes?
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely throw this to Ronan and Ethan for their personal experiences, but I'll say on average, 75% of our classes are 27 or fewer. 50% of our classes are 16 or fewer. But again, I want to hear them to kind of give their real world experience on that.
So as a freshman, I expected lots of lecture classes, and I only had 2, I would say, each semester, but even so, they were highly engaging lecture classes. But even mixed within that, I had a class with 10 people in a conference room with a really nice view out of the Ash Building window. And I had another class with 15, I think. So really intimate environment overall as a student.
What was your largest lecture, Ethan, just for their reference?
I think my largest lecture class was microeconomics with 75 to 80.
Yeah, it's about the same for me. Once you get out of the freshman 100 level classes, which usually has no more than at most 75 people, then it drops down to 25 people and pretty fast, and it's pretty intimate.
Awesome. Someone would like to know, are you required to live on campus after freshman year? And if not, how many tend to stay on campus all 4 years?
Yeah, great question. So you're required to live on, yes, your first year, for those of you who don't know. Also, we don't, because parking is a premium on the campus, we don't sell parking permits to first year students as well. But as I mentioned earlier, I did not have a car at all, actually, for a good portion of my time working at UM. And it was never an issue for me. I lived within a 5-mile radius of the campus, and I was always able to get around through a variety of different, you can ask me offline about that personal experience. But in terms of the housing, we ended up having about a 60-40 split. So usually about 40%, 40 to 45 on campus, 60 off. With the new housing project, we're hoping to flip that so that there will be about 60 to 65% of the students that live on campus and 40 off. But I can say, even from my personal experience, and again, bouncing off of Ethan and Ronan, that over 80% from a statistics wise live within a 5-mile radius of the campus. So even when you're thinking about commuter, I know that word, you're thinking like someone is driving 30 minutes to campus. Most of the students who are commuter students from the traditional sense are maybe a bike ride or so away from campus. So just to give context for that.
Awesome. Someone wants to know, with the city of Miami being so close to the college, is there still a true campus feel at the university? I'm going to hand that one to Ethan and Ronan.
Yes, 100%. Really, it's one of those things where you don't really if you're on campus, you don't really realize how close downtown Miami is, how close the beach is. The university campus is absolutely beautiful, and you would never know that you are 15 minutes away from a major city.
Awesome. I can attest to that. I've been to many art shows at the University of Miami, and it is a very beautiful campus to walk around. So you definitely don't feel like you're in the city of Miami. Let me see our other questions. Are most students involved in community service? And if so, what would you say some of the opportunities for that are on campus?
Most, I mean, that's always a relative word, but I would say that we're definitely a very involved campus. We have several service days that encompass the entire student body in terms of having an opportunity. And one of the largest ones is Gandhi Day. I know we easily get over 3,000 students each year that will be involved in that, and that's not a required activity. So I think that says a lot. But we have around 20 to 30 different student-run organizations through the Butler Service Center that is specifically geared towards community service. So I would say that we are definitely a very active campus. And that's one of the reasons why we look at that kind of in the application process, because it definitely speaks to the culture of the university as a whole.
I know beyond that, clubs have their own individual ways of getting people involved in community service. I know Scuba Club does a dive where they go and pick up trash in a heavily littered area while scuba diving, which is really neat. And the AK Psi, as well as all the social fraternities, all take and do their part in community service.
Awesome. Someone wants to know, does UM have a pre-med program and what that looks like, if you do?
Yes, we do. Similar to pre-law, you'll get all your prerequisites through that advisor. You have an advisor for pre-med, but then you'll also have your major. So you can major in whatever you choose. It does not have to be within the sciences. We also have a couple of specialty programs, the Health Professions Mentoring Program, which actually helps students prepare for medical school. You can apply to that online in addition to your application to UM. And that is in connection or conjunction, I should say, with our Miller School of Medicine, which is downtown. So there are definitely a lot of research opportunities, internship opportunities, shadow opportunities that you can take advantage of within that.
Awesome. Igor, someone wants to know, what is the connection with off-campus Jewish communities, synagogues, things in the area?
Great relationship. We have a synagogue that is a Reformed temple literally across the street, walking distance. And our chapter of Challah for Hunger, a volunteer-based organization, students get together on Thursdays to braid and bake challah, and then on Friday they sell it, and portions, part of the proceeds goes to fight hunger. One of the pretty vital groups on campus. So they bake there because that temple has a big commercial kitchen. We also have about, I would say, 5 different types of synagogues around the area. And great relationships, a lot of support. They always hire students to run their Sunday schools. So if you look for employment in that regard, you can also get it there.
Awesome. Let's see. Are there any Jewish identifying sororities on campus or fraternities?
I mean, I believe SDT is I believe an official like Jewish sorority. A Pi, ZBT are also like official, and SAMI I believe are also official Jewish fraternities. I'm sure there are others. That being said, because of the number of Jews on campus, you will find a Jewish person in any form of Greek life and almost any club or organization, but I'm not sure. Like, you'll also find non-Jews in Jewish Greek life or Jewish fraternities and sororities.
Awesome, thank you. What facilities and resources do you offer for the animal research programs?
Yeah, so we have our marine science program, but I always have to preface it by saying that it is not specifically geared towards animal. And they always tell me the professors within that school that they are, if you're looking for research as it relates to climate change, as it relates to the water, specifically in Miami, that's a hotbed issue. A lot of their research is around that. They do have Ecclesia labs, which they utilize again for climate change research as well. But it is not specifically animal related. And we don't necessarily have specific majors that are geared towards that. So I apologize for that.
Thank you. This is our last question I see for the moment. Ronan and Ethan, what advice would you give to rising seniors as they enter the college admission process? And how do you stay focused with so many distractions at a wonderful university?
As for senior year, I guess one thing is really don't slack. Like, it's the final stretch, and it's really the time to get as involved as possible while maintaining really good grades. I know it's test optional now, so that was a huge focus when I was a senior and junior. But I guess more importantly now is to be involved and show leadership, and build a resume that shows who you are, I guess, and what you like to do. And Miami is really good at seeing people's interests as well as people's leadership beyond just GPA.
To add on to that, I would say that I had some general idea of what I wanted to study going into college, but that can change anytime, any place. So when you're kind of looking at different colleges, find a college that has a good kind of overall sense, and kind of take this time to kind of figure out what you're passionate about, what you enjoy, and what you find meaningful and important, and look at colleges that reflect those values. I found that in Miami, and I know that unfortunately some of my friends who thought that they found a school that would be like fun and thought that they would find kind of a good place, ended up needing to go somewhere else because it didn't reflect their values and what they believed in.
And as for staying focused, I know that was the other question. I really don't find it challenging to stay focused because there's always the motivation to go to the beach or hang out with friends. And it's really easy to prioritize your work because everyone around you is doing the same, and everyone around you wants to do those fun things with you as well. So when everyone is doing it together, it's always easy to find someone to study with, to do homework with, make friends in class. So it's not all too challenging to maneuver those distractions.
You can also always study by the pool on campus, which I've seen a ton of people do, which is really funny. And I never would have expected it. People go to class in their swimsuits, go to the pool, tan or go swimming, and then go to their next class, which is one of the craziest things. And one of the things I most love about Miami is just that environment.
Awesome. We got more questions. How much does UM look at outside of school activities such as community service and the admissions process?
It definitely is a important part, but I want to clarify that not everyone has the same opportunities, and so we are sensitive to that, and understanding that we're reviewing you within the context of the opportunities that you have. One of the things that we have seen a lot is students who maybe have responsibilities to care for a sibling, or maybe they even have to work part-time, right? And so that limits the opportunities you maybe have to get involved in community service or even leadership, because you have specific responsibilities at home. So I want to make it clear to those of you who are thinking about this critically, that we take those things into account as well. So it is not the end-all be-all if you don't even have the opportunity to be able to do the things that you want to. Hopefully that you can, have the opportunity when you come to UM, right? So it's not necessarily an end-all be-all, but it is looked at in terms of what you're able to do outside of the classroom in totality.
Awesome. And someone wants to know, does the university have an honors program? And if so, what is the main difference between that program and regular college?
Absolutely. So we do have an honors program. It is called the Foot Fellows Honors Program. You're automatically considered for that when you apply to UM. It's typically the top 5% of our applicant pool in each school and college. So each school and college has their own cohort of Foot Fellows. Those students are completely exempt from the cognate system, so they have no general education requirements. They're really able to freely craft their own curriculum. But then there are also requirements in terms of internship, professional development, as well as seminars that they are a part of as well. So it is a kind of a cohort-based program. But the biggest difference is that they are exempt from those general education requirements.
Another question for you, Charles. Is there any type of interview in the admissions process for students?
Not at the moment, no. That is a fair question. We're still reviewing, as of course, we've just released about the test optional. So there might be other changes that come. But because of the volume of applications that we receive, we just haven't figured out a way that we can efficiently and equitably do interviews as a part of our process. So not at the moment. But on the flip side of that, I will say, because the other part of that question is about demonstrated interest. And we are still reviewing our demonstrated interest policy. As of right now, it only applies to students who are deferred in the process or waitlisted, but that is subject to change as well as a result of us going test optional. So things like this, we'll get your information, of course. This is a way to demonstrate interest, emails, calls, attending campus tours, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to have you on campus very soon as well. virtual tours. This is an opportunity for me to plug our virtual tour. It's one of the best, so please, you can find that on our admissions website front page. These are ways that you can engage with us, that you don't have to physically come to campus in order to do that. So.
Awesome. And one final question, Charles, is there a dance program on campus?
There is a dance program. Man, I can give you a sample. I won't do that right now, but there is a dance program on campus. We have two. We have the traditional cheerleading program, but then we also have an affiliated dance program as well. They have a scholarship component to that. If you are interested, you can shoot me an email. I'm sure we'll exchange information. I'll put that in the chat for everyone. And I can give you the information about the auditions for that. So absolutely.
Awesome. Well, that looks like the last question. I wanted to thank our awesome presenters today for such an informative hour. I know I learned so much and I'm not even going to school anymore. I also want to thank all the teens and parents who joined us today. Thank you so much for participating. I just want to go over some upcoming events we have on our virtual college road trip this week. Tomorrow we have our Georgia Tech session, and then Friday and Sunday we have 2 more workshops that are being offered to parents and teens. If you're interested in learning more, to jump on the bus with us, come to roadtriptocollege.org and follow us on our social media at JumpSparkATL. All of our sessions are being recorded and can be accessed on our YouTube channel, which can also be found on our website. I want to thank you all again for joining, and I hope you have a great night.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.